Hey there. Do you tell yourself I'm not going to start anything new until I have finished at least one or two of my works in progress? Yeah, that's me at the moment. I'm making deals with myself. There's a couple of quilts I really want to start, but I'm not letting myself start them until I at least finish something. So this is up on the wall. So my name's Katie and sometimes I quilt, and I'm really hoping to get my Opalescence by Lorena Iridiety finished. Well, at least the top done sometime in the next little while. Now, I put it up on the wall earlier in the week and then my wall's on wheels. So I turned my wall around so the rest of the family can see it. I quilt in a little alcove off a main thoroughfare and gave everybody an opportunity to move things around, because when you're too close to things, sometimes you can't see where the problems are, where the colours are pooling and all that sort of stuff. And I have faith that the rest of my family can see that. So it's been sitting up for a few days. Everybody's come along and moved things around. I've done a bit. The kids have done a bit. The cat helped. And now it's time to sew it together, which is where I think the problem has been. Have you noticed it's all Y seams? Now, I'm not opposed to Y seams. I'm going to show you some. We've all done them. But these are machine pieced ones. And Lorena taught us a way in the class that was easy, that, broke it down and made it a lot more accessible and all the rest of it. But I've been quilting for a long time, and confidence got hit there for a little while around whether or not I can actually do this, and it really came through in this quilt. That's not a reflection on the quilt. It's not a reflection on the pattern, Lorena's class, or anything else like that. It's just more of it needed to sit in timeout for, it turns out, about 6 years, and now it's time to get it out and get it done. So I'm going to talk about Y seams, because I think that's the problem. And I think if I talk through it, and I'll bring you on this journey, and then we'll start sewing it together. And I've got probably about 3 hours of uninterrupted time right now. Let's see how much I can get done. Full disclosure, I've already started to put together the ones up the top so that I could remind myself how to sew Y seams on a sewing machine. Let's go. Okay, so Y seams. What am I talking about when we're talking about Y seams? I'll grab one of these. So here we have diamonds. When these diamonds meet in the middle, we form Y. What is the challenge with these seams? There's no straight bits. If we look at a traditionally pieced block, looks around, I don't have one right now within easy grab, but if we had, we could change this so that we had straights, that we could turn it into triangles instead, equilateral triangles. That's the next quilt I want to get finished. So equilateral triangles would give you straight seams. You could piece rows together, piece them together and do that, except that you've got another seam. So what are we doing here? We've got Y seams. Now, this one I have done on the machine. But we do Y seams all the time, but we usually do them by hand. And here's the back of a little 6-pointed star that's going into a hexagon that I just sort of started working on a little bit. Okay, so this is some cave scraps that I've got, and I've started putting together some stars, and I'm just hand piecing these. When we're hand piecing Y seams, it's actually really easy. The hardest part is, getting everything in the spot to iron it down at the end so that you've got all of the little flat points instead of bumpy bits, because then that's what makes everything sit flat and nice. And we might come back to this size at some point. This is not a particular pattern. This is me testing out a stamp. But this bit will go in there, then that bit will go there, and then that bit will go there. And then that'll give me a hexagon with lots of Y seams in it, and I won't stress about it. But when it comes to bigger ones like this, and I've got them point spinning in the middle, I've machine pieced these. Now there are a heap of different ways to do it. I recommend supporting yourself through it. So the first 4 or 5 of these blocks that I sewed together, I quite literally, like you can see that I've got dots here. So on most templates for anything really at the moment, they will give you points, holes in the template, in order to pop a pen or a pencil or something through to give you your dot to dot lines. If you're really not sure where to sew, I would actually go back to basics and draw the sewing line in, even if I'm doing this on machine. If we go back to basics sometimes and do those things that we did when we were really beginning, where we drew the lines in so that we knew what we were sewing, and I mean, perfectionism is also a problem, but if we go back to basics with this, sometimes we can help ourselves. So drawing some of the lines in to sew in, then moving to dots. Where I'm at now is, for the first few I'll have dots, but then sort of once I get my eye in, I'll be okay and I'll be able to sew them. I'll be able to just sit down and sew them. The key with sewing Y seams is, though, not sewing all the way to the end. What we want, and that's a bad example, what we want is free seams here. Because what that's going to do is, when I sew this seam here, it's going to let us press that so that we've got the spinny thing happening and we don't have bumps. The bumps will get in the way when we go to quilt it. So that's all I've got to offer on sewing Y seams. Also, slowly. This is not a race. We don't need to speed finish. But having said that, let's sew some Y seams on the machine and see how far we get. Okay. The key here is keeping the seam allowances free in the same way that we do when we're hand sewing. So, really lucky here to have my machine with a leg presser foot lifter. I do love my dookie. All right. So I'm just stopping on that dot there, opening that up, and then finding a pair of these to insert. Now, I am going to do something that is a little against orthodoxy, and I'm going to start with the point bit in the middle. So we're going to place that one, flip it over, and I'm going to go from the center point where all of those seams meet, like at the apex of the Y at this bit, and I'm going to go that way out, because I have found through trial and error that it works a little bit better for me. Again, just stopping and moving things around so that I'm keeping the little seam allowance clear. And then we'll go the other side. So as you can see here, maybe if the light was a little bit better, there's a whole lot of seams that are meeting at this corner. And that's one of the points. So what we'll do is we'll move all of them to one side, pinch them all down, and then we can see where we need to sew. So I need to start here and then go out to the edge. And I just find this works better for me. Now, I will say a lot, this works better for me. It may not work better for you. Sometimes the trick is finding the way that works better for you and ignoring all the others. Remembering to stop before the end. And there we go. I have successfully completed a Y seam. And then what's going to happen on the back here is we're going to spin those around, press them down, flatten them, and then it's not lumpy on the front for when I'm going to quilt. So now I'm just going to do this for the next few hours where I sew these all together and hopefully have a quilt. So what I will do is I'm constructing it in rows. This is the top row. And then I will construct the next row and then basically sew the zigzag and gradually add all of the rows to the quilt. And it will hopefully get finished. Okay, you can listen to some music for a little while I try and do this. Okay, so this is where we're at. I have done, I've put about, I've got about a third of it to go, maybe less than a third. So 3 more rows to put together and then attach to the top half, or the half that's already done. It's looking okay. Points are off in a couple of places. I am not being fussy about that. I've only unpicked a little bit of the stitching, but most importantly that I need to think about at the moment is, I'm looking at the back, I'm actually not going to press this until it's finished and done, because then I'll be able to get all of the seams to spin in directions that I need them to. So I'll be able to look at where these are and get those to sort of go and make those bits flat. The intention is with this one is to machine quilt it. I have recently rearranged my space to pull the Sweet 16 out into a place where I can use it a little bit more. So maybe next weekend I'll get to that. We'll see what happens. But anyhow, that's where we are with that. I'll probably finish this off. I've got 1, 2, 3 rows to sew together, and then those rows to sew onto the bits that I have actually put together. Should get that done. Take a couple of hours. I'll get it all put together. Thanks for sticking with me. Thanks for joining me. And I'll see you next time. Bye.